Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Investor Connection. Today, my special guest is Hefe from the 8-Bit Guild um, Gamers Guild. I guess I give it.
You got it.
So as you can see, he has an Aavegotchi as his profile picture. So we're here today again to talk about Aavegotchi. I'm a little bit obsessed with this game, I'll have to admit. But I do see potential. I'm making more off of this than I'm making off an Airbnb I have in the Dominican Republic. And the game hasn't really even started to produce the revenue it's supposed to produce. So looking forward to continuing to grow it. But I wanted to meet with you, Hefe, because I know you manage a guild. You manage a guild with a lot of assets, but I also want to just learn more about what you do and have the community learn. So start out with telling the audience who you are, what you do now, and how'd you get into Aavegotchi.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So I'll probably start with how I got into Aavegotchi.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about DeFi, like I was into crypto at the time. This was like when Aavegotchi came out with Haunt 1. So that must have been in March of last year. And that's when I really got involved into it. I missed the first Haunt by 2 weeks.
Wow.
But I was glad actually that I missed it because a lot of people in that first Haunt, they had some they had some negative feelings around it because
Oh yeah.
the way those 10,000 portals that were first released got swept in like 60 seconds or less.
Oh, like a bot got him.
I don't know if it was about if it was a bot thing or if it was like a gas wars thing, but a lot of
Ah,
people felt left out after that. And some people ended up getting a whole bunch of portals at the start.
got
So
it.
I didn't get to go through any of those emotions, so
Yeah, me either. I
I
missed
didn't
all
feel
that.
salty about anything. So I just went to the marketplace, and picked up an Aavegotchi
How
off the
much? How
floor.
much were they when you bought your first one? How much Ghost?
So the floor was around 300 ghosts when I first bought
Wow.
it. So
Wow.
yeah, 300 ghosts. But also remember, the price of ghost was also a lot lower back then. It was like $1 almost.
Wow, man. So you've already pretty much done well. All right. So I'm gonna pull up the current floor price of Ghost so people can see that.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
Aavegotchi. All
I'm
right.
sure it's floating around probably 700 is what I've seen it. I've seen dip below, but like that seems to be kind of established maybe. We'll see though.
You know what? I gotta do it from a different. Okay, can you can see my screen, right?
Uh I
Oh,
can no, I can't see your screen yet.
okay. So I forget to do this sometimes.
No, it's all
um,
good, man. Yeah, I
uh,
can see something coming up now. Yeah,
okay,
you're
there it
pulling
is.
up the
Okay,
screen there. I can see that.
so let's go to the bazaar
Yeah, let's check it out.
and go to the lowest price,
Oh, we got some dipping down there. We got one at
589.
589.
Oh, and that's pretty high rare. No, it's low rarity and low kinship. So that's the thing, right? Still pretty good. So I guess if we go to CoinGecko, go to Aavegotchi, 600, that's 589, $912. So you were able to get
Yeah.
your first one around $300, and now they're worth 900. That's pretty good.
Yeah, actually, when you put it that way, it was quite a lot cheaper back then.
Yeah, yeah. I
Dang, like
thought
I didn't think I didn't put two and two together to be honest till now. Because
that's good.
there's the two mechanics at work here, right? There's the actual price of Ghost that's been going up for Aavegotchis, but also the price of Ghost has been, it's been steadily climbing up over the last year. So
Yeah, exactly. Ghost is one of the few coins that look, it has this stairs, and really it's come down with everything else, but it hasn't come down as much as everything else. Like I moved a lot of money into it right on time, and it has saved my portfolio somewhat.
nice.
Again, NFTs and stuff like that, how liquid they are, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I think Ghost is a good opportunity still. So yeah, so basically you got in when it was about 300 in Haunt 1 and Ghost was about $1. Man, that's really good. I didn't get my first one till I bought land before I bought any Aavegotchi. And I bought land in the first land sale. So that was around the time I got in.
I mean, that's a power move if you ask me. We can talk about that too,
Yeah, for
as
sure. Go
well, because
ahead.
I think land's also interesting.
Yeah, I think
But the story was when I first started, I basically bought this first Aavegotchi thinking it's going to be a fun game, not really thinking about the investment aspect at the time because there really wasn't much to look forward to in terms of like a metaverse game. Like we didn't even know that was going to happen till a couple months later. But there was the rarity farming, which I thought was really interesting compared to how other games do competitions and stuff.
I
You got to
agree.
dress up your gachi, you got to look at the rarity, you really have to dig into the traits. And, it was it was really intricate, to try and figure out the BRS and dressing up the gachi to match its traits.
Yeah, yeah. This I started going down the rabbit hole. I was watching from afar and I was like, this is confusing. I didn't understand. And then I slowly started to look at this and be like, wow, this is pretty smart. Like, I think I got involved more just thinking about the level of brains that are building this. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty smart. And then the way everything was being documented too, like the Bible, the Gotchi Bible, and
Yeah.
the community was pretty big. And I was watching it like, wow, there's a lot of people involved in this, and the game doesn't even exist. So I started looking as well. Okay, so you got in, you bought one. How many did you buy when you first got in? Did you buy just one?
I just bought the one because I wasn't taking it too seriously, to be honest. I
Yeah.
just thought this is kind of a cool thing. You dress it up, and I looked into the technology behind it. With everything being on chain, that was another thing. I'm a little bit technical in that sense. I think you are too, right? With the
Yes,
you have a
100%.
developer background.
100%.
Um, so like that stuff like that's interesting to people like us, where you're able to look at the code base. You could see these are actually SVG files on chain. So that gave it a little bit of an interesting fact there. And then Aavegotchis are powered by the Diamond contract, Diamond
Mm,
standard, and that was developed by a core Ethereum developer. And Aavegotchi utilizes this. And I'm still learning about that Diamond contract today, like still
I
reading up
am
on it and
too. I
stuff.
am too. I think it's brilliant. I think when you see what's happening with this game, and look, so right now, what that means are, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so what that means is, see this Aavegotchi right here. This is just the ghost. You can pull it out. See, it's a SVG file, right? Like he said. Then you see some though, they'll have like, actually, let me look if I have mine. Mine's are being rented. But actually, when you go look at ones that have items on them, so these, you see how when you roll over,
Yeah,
they have more NFTs built on top of them. So that is pretty crazy because each one of these things you have to buy as separate NFTs and you can sell as separate NFTs, and they give um your Aavegotchi more power. Look, so this one is giving +1 in the spooky, and this is just, it's pretty smart. Like, and of course, I do think it is for a certain type of gamer. I don't think it's like for
yeah,
the Fortnite player. It's like more of a strategy kind of thinking game.
yeah,
It's not just like
100%.
a smash and grab. So okay, so you ended up getting the Haunt one. Then did
Yeah,
you
and then
go
I
into
started
rarity
playing
farming?
around with the wearables right
Yeah,
away.
you did. You
Like I
did.
got I got the gotchi, right? And now I'm like, okay, well I gotta dress this thing up. And then I got addicted to wearables. I actually didn't buy another gotchi for a while. I was just buying up different wearables because they were super cheap back then. Like,
How much was a
some
wearable back in when you first
uh
started?
like an average price for a common wearable was between maybe 2 and 10 ghosts. Like it wasn't very much.
Wow.
You
So
know?
I just swept the floor for like 30 of the helmets. And there was
Okay.
30. each, and and then now the floor is higher because I did that. But I didn't I didn't mean to, but it was a good move.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So wow. So and how many did you get? Did you end up with a lot of wearables? Do you still have a bunch?
Yeah, I never actually sold any wearables. I've been hanging on to them. I think I have 70 wearables now, but like different
Wow.
rarities. Yeah, different rarities, but
Those are
yeah.
valuable. And if you look, okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. You can see how valuable the wearables are. So if you go to the bazaar again and you go to equipment, you can see like, look, this is 275 ghost. An actual Aavegotchi is 508. So it's like almost half of Aavegotchi here, for one. This is a rare though. Like you said, they're different levels. So this is super interesting stuff. And again, we haven't even got to the point where any of this is usable, right? When that happens, it's gonna be pretty interesting. Oh, so I'm
That's
gonna get
actually
on my
exactly
phone.
what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the use cases and the utility to fully come out before I start selling stuff off. Because I very much look at this as like at some point my conviction in this was strong enough that I thought this is going to be around for a while. So the value of the wearables to me is only going to keep going up as you might need a certain wearable to do a certain quest. Like it has these gating features, and I'm a gamer
Yep.
too. So I played like World of Warcraft, I played RuneScape. So
Okay.
I really know the importance of these wearables. And to give you an idea, I initially invested like over the last year and a half, I've invested maybe 2,000 Ghost in wearables total.
Okay.
But
That's
my
good though. Yeah.
yeah, and even with the bear market right now, with everything taking a dip, my wearable collection's still worth 4,800 Ghost.
Wow.
I mean, that's with everything
Shit.
getting cut in half. So like it was actually worth almost double that before.
The ghost
Um,
price or the price of, I mean, the ghost number or the price of ghost?
I think both put together when you
So
take the
both
value
went.
of the collection.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, like I see once they're usable, but like you said, I think there's gonna be a point where you can rent
Yeah.
your items, and that's another revenue stream. Like you said, there's gonna probably be quests that you need a specific item, and you're gonna have to go on the market and rent it from people that have it, and there's gonna be finite amount, and that's the genius of NFTs, blockchain, and this game, right? Like there's gonna, and already I'm starting to see already limitations of amount of items that, like when I'm trying to channel, I rent out
Yeah.
characters and they don't have many that are channelable. So that's already an issue. All right, so now you're in, you got a bunch of wearables. Did you then do rarity farming or
Yeah, so I've been doing some rarity farming. On average, we've had 3 seasons of rarity farming.
Mhm.
On average, I've been making over the whole season roughly 300 ghost. So if you think
Wow,
about that, that's kind of crazy, right? That I
that
make
is crazy.
roughly 300 ghost per season, because that means after one season, I had already paid off my first gotchi. And then the
Yeah.
second season and the third, it I'll be honest, rarity farming is getting a little bit more competitive now, and it's probably going to get more competitive in the future, but
Yeah, you
you
kind of
know,
have to have a high
yeah,
level item, or you're not even
yeah.
in, right. Like I was playing around. I forgot what the website was where you can like put different things on your character and see where you would end up in rarity farming. And I was
Oh,
like, wow,
right.
you got to spend some money. You got to really spend some money to get in there, unless you were early like you and you have some like very high level items, right? And like you
Yeah.
said, so the way it works is if you have a certain level, the game gives you a certain amount of ghost based on wherever level you're at in rarity. And like you said, you get 300 each time. And there's been how many? Two or three?
I think there's been 3. Yeah, there's
Okay.
been 3 now.
Wow. So you made almost 1,000 ghosts just by being in early. And again, this is why I make this content, because I still think we're early. We're not as early as you were, but we're still pretty early. Like the
Yeah.
major ways of creating revenue with this game don't exist yet. They're not out yet, which is going to be the reservoirs and the harvesters, right? Is that how you see it too?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Exactly. The main way I feel the strategy is going to go is going to be based off the harvesters for the land to pull those resources, each piece of land has its own Alchemica tokens. We're going to pull those out with our harvesters, and you'll need to build one type of harvester for each type of Alchemica. So if you have 4 different types in your land, you're going to make sure that you build 4 different types of harvester. But then you also have to build a different reservoir type for each harvester. So you have to kind of strategize around that. And I think each person's gonna, based on the player type, they're gonna approach it differently.
Yeah, so I have one that has a 6x on alpha. So I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
what do I do? Do I make more alpha in that one? That's where like right now I'm trying to just understand it. I'm growing right now. My strategy is to grow my I'm using this site. I'm not sure if you know about this Gotchi lending. I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, got you
Um,
lending.
yeah, so I'm trying to get the 6 1 up to level 6. That it's this one right here. If I get it up to level 6, then I'll make the harvesters as high as possible over time, because it is a lot of a chemical got to be spent to to build
Yeah,
this stuff up. So I started pacing myself like, all right, you know what, I'm only gonna build up 3 because it's costing a lot. So that's my plan. So okay, so you did rarity farming. How'd you end up getting involved in the guild? Like, what made you do
yeah.
that?
Okay, so like I'll say at first, I started, with Aavegotchi as an official ambassador for Aavegotchi because I started just really loving the project. And
Okay.
No Future, another very prominent Aavegotchi member, he
Yep.
started hosting the Saturday hangouts that we have now. He's the
Oh,
one
in
who kind
Discord,
of,
right? The Discord.
yeah, yeah, he's the one who kind of kicked that off. So I started joining in there and, helping him host those. And then I thought, well, maybe I want to start kind of my own thing. So I started Gotchi Space on Sundays. So every Sunday we have a Twitter space. I've been doing that for almost a year now. It's been growing slowly but steadily,
Yeah,
and
it
through
takes time.
that,
It takes time.
yeah, 100%. And I think I'm most of the Gotchi gang I met was through the space because they would come on there. Nobody on Twitter at the time was really like talking about Aavegotchi. Like there's a few people posting, but there's only maybe a handful of people really posting about Aavegotchi. So I thought,
Sure.
what a great way to get the crypto Twitter community. The crypto Twitter community is huge on
Yeah,
Twitter.
for
So
sure.
let's get them involved,
That's the
right?
place to be if you're interested in NFTs and crypto for sure.
Yeah, and then that's where I met Master Yin and Master Yang, who are the two founders of the 8-Bit Gamers Guild.
Got
Um,
it. Got it. Okay, from
yeah.
creating content. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, from creating content, I met those guys. And actually the guild didn't even exist back then.
It
They
didn't.
started the guild like 2 or 3 months after, I think, hanging out in the spaces. So they were kind of feeling it out, just like you were actually, curious and wanting to know more. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we were talking, and then they decided to start the guild. And we were talking one night, and they're like, hey, do you want to be like the ambassador for our guild? And I thought it was really cool, given their background. They're both already entrepreneurs in the crypto industry. Like they
Oh,
already
are
have
they?
their own,
Are they
they
are
actually
they
have.
like anonymous, or do can people know who they are?
They are also anonymous, just like I am,
Okay.
pseudo-anonymous, I should say.
Okay.
But
So
they do
what
have
are
their
their
own.
Twitters?
Master Yin is NFT Rooster.
NFT
NFT Rooster,
in no space.
no space.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see.
there
I
you go.
see. All right, I'm following him. Okay. Who
And
else?
yeah, and his partner in crime, Master Yang, is Baby Picasso.
Nice names.
And
So they have professional how you spell baby
Dark
Picasso?
Master Yang, there you go. The
Um
first.
oh, I'm not following him. Okay. Oops. Capital M. Oops, oops, oops. I just pressed series by
there
mistake. All right, so Master Yang, I'm not following. Okay, there you go. All
you
right,
go.
so they both have projects in the Web3 space. They collect NFTs, and they also had created a guild for multiple games, or mostly for Aavegotchi.
Well, I mean, they didn't have a guild. A guild is completely new for them, but
Okay,
the background they come from is they're like from the early days of Bitcoin.
got it.
So, when
That's what I
Bitcoin
thought.
first came
Yeah,
out. Yeah, they were the early hodlers of Bitcoin, and I think maybe that's where they started a lot of their entrepreneurial ventures.
Makes sense.
And then that led into the guild because they too are also gamers. They come from the world of Warcraft, and when they were younger, they were into these games, and so 8-Bit Gamers Guild was kind of born out of all of that. The business entrepreneurial side combined with this gamer. Like they were gamers before, and they want to re-experience this, but with this new crypto slash economic
So their
background.
first game is Aavegotchi?
First, yep, this is the
Wow.
where Aavegotchi native guild. So we started in Aavegotchi, but
Nice.
we're the 8-Bit Gamers Guild, so we're not really restricted to Aavegotchi.
Sure, sure.
There's prospects there in the future maybe to branch out, but Aavegotchi is a great playground to start building stuff, and just meeting people. There's a strong social connection I think you were touching on before that is really really powerful in Aavegotchi, and I haven't seen that as much in
I
other
agree.
crypto communities.
I agree. I agree. I see something about this community that's different. Again, like, look at this. These are two guys or girls. They could be that got into Bitcoin. They got in early, which they were innovators and understanding that that was going to be what it is now early. And now the first game they're really going in on is Aavegotchi. And this is not the first time I've heard this. I heard multiple people that's the same path. First Bitcoin, and this is the first real game that they're getting into.
Ah,
And that's interesting to me. Very interesting to me.
it's actually very interesting. We've had many conversations together where, just talking to them about the feeling, about how they feel about all this, and
Yep.
they're like, "Yeah, man, like this is how we felt when we discovered Bitcoin. This was the energy, this was the feeling."
Wow.
As an entrepreneur, when you get experienced, maybe you have a sense for things. You get that sixth sense, like this
Yeah,
might be
yeah,
it.
yeah. 100%.
Um,
100%.
and I think that's what they were feeling when they saw Aavegotchi because they weren't involved in any other games at
That's
the time.
really cool. So now, how many assets do you manage for them with them? How does it work? How does making it
Yeah,
actually? One good thing is, how did this guild start? Like you just said, they had an idea, they reached out to you because that's interesting to me. I'm also thinking about creating a guild. I don't have anywhere near the amount of assets that makes sense for one. I don't think, but yeah. So talk to us about how does that work? Like you want to
yeah.
create a guild. What was the next steps?
So they took a very interesting approach when they started the guild. They did it on a membership basis. So their two memberships that they had available initially were the Keck Lords and
Okay.
the Alpha Nobles. And those are
Okay.
the two membership levels, and basically just did an outline of the membership benefits for each tier. And the game is still in development, so the membership benefits are still being rolled out, but
Sure.
the initial benefits were actually, if you signed up as a Keck Lord, you would get a are you familiar with the fake rare cards, like the Peppa,
Rare
the
Pepe.
Rare Pepe? Yeah, so then they have the fake Rare Pepe
Is this
cards.
this over here?
Yeah, that's what he's been collecting there.
Okay.
Some of those cards, they're worth a lot of money. Like I think some of them could even be half a Bitcoin or maybe even more.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Because these are like OG crypto cards that are on the Bitcoin blockchain.
These are like the first NFTs, right? Like they
Yeah,
were
these
before
that's right.
Ethereum, right?
That's right. These are
Yeah.
Bitcoin NFTs, and these guys
Yeah.
are really enthusiastic about it. And you see Master Yang, he's actually really deep into that community, and they wanted to find a way to bridge the fake rare community over to Aavegotchi. And the way
Mm.
they did this is they actually got rights to develop an official fake rare card that was crossed with an Aavegotchi. It's called Pepagotchi.
Wow.
Uh,
So they got
and
the
so
rights from Aavegotchi and Rare Pepe?
exactly, and they were able to create
Wow.
this card and issue it to the Keck Lords. So it created this interesting dynamic where we
So
have these 50.
how'd you become a Keck Lord? What do you have to give? Keck? Like what how'd you get in? What you have to do?
Oh, you just had to apply, and there's a membership fee. For the
Yeah.
Keck Lords, it was pretty exclusive. So
It's like
I
an
mean
ETH,
this.
like you basically pay an ETH to get the NFT card.
No, it was 200 ghosts to get in at the time, but
Okay.
it totally made sense to get in, because, like, aside from me, because I was going to get in anyway, because I
Mm-hmm.
was going to be a part of their guild. But for anybody else, we have about probably 40 other Keck lords who joined. It just made so much sense because this card alone right now is worth zero point 0.5 ETH. So it's worth
Wow. So is it
already
on OpenSea? Where can we see the card?
you can see it on XCP, which is the Bitcoin blockchain counterparty.
Oh,
Let me
I don't
see
know
if
how
I
to
can
do that.
find it.
If you can send me the link in the right here in our back channel private chat.
Private chat.
So yeah, I mean, when you have that, send it to me. That's interesting. So they started the business by saying if you pay 200 ghost, you get an NFT that's going to be valuable, right? And you're going to get access to what after you get the NFT?
So I don't have the actual page open right now, but they have a bunch of tools they've developed, like a petting bot. They have like a traits analyzer. They have a bunch of devs that already work for them, and so they they basically want to give people access to these tools if they hold these memberships. And then in addition to that, they do want to roll out, like a full-on experience around the theme of their guild, which is the Pepe, right? The Pepegotchi.
Got it. Got
And
it.
so
So they,
there's going to be some
got
really
it.
cool experiences that will get built around this. And we want to make sure that we reward the Keck Lords. Basically, when you first got this membership, it was a promise.
Okay.
We made the promise with this card, but then also there was a list of things that we provided, like you're going to get this, this, this. Once we roll out a token, like we're going to think about
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, and just make sure that these people are, getting what they deserve. And then the second tier, which I haven't talked about, is the Alpha Nobles,
Okay.
and that was a much cheaper membership. I think it was 25 Ghost.
Okay.
So that was to allow anybody who maybe didn't want the Pepegotchi card or just wanted to be a guild member, they could get in on it. And now it's interesting because now that we have Gotchi rentals, we have land rentals. Now we can start playing into this, favoring the Keck lords for certain things, and then the Alpha Nobles get that second tier, and then the
Hmm.
third
That's
tier,
interesting.
yeah, and then the third tier, which I haven't talked about, is the FOMO scholars.
Okay.
So that's our scholarships, that we have for people who don't own their own assets. So that's
Got
the
it.
third
Got it.
tier.
So
So
they
it's a
just come and
tiered
they sign
membership.
up. They sign up to. They don't have to pay anything. They sign up to work
That's
on
right.
doing it and splitting revenue. Got it. Got it. Got it.
That's right. Yeah, and then actually what they've done is created a separate guild that we call the dojo. It is the
Okay.
8-bit GG
Oh, I've seen
dojo.
that. I've seen that actually. Okay. So they have their own. Let's see. 8-bit dojo.
Oh yeah. I guess maybe they may have started a Twitter account. I'm not quite
Oh, okay.
sure.
Okay. Okay. Um. Okay. So basically, you have multiple levels of basically access, right?
Access, yeah. That's a good way to
And
put it.
so now the game is live. How many assets do you guys have? How does it work if you are a part right now? I know the game is growing and a lot of the features are not here yet, but how are you guys doing it right now? And then what do you plan on doing as the features are rolled out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So currently, right now, they have close to 300 Aavegotchis that are owned by themselves, like their own assets.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, we have a couple members within the guild who own 100 plus gotchis. So in total, if you take into the whole guild into account, it's between 500 and 600 gotchis like available for
Wow.
renting. But it's been a grind, man, trying to make sure these assets get utilized.
So
Um,
right
yeah.
now, do you use like Gotchi Vault or you use your own system?
So we're using our own system right now,
Mm,
and we basically have managers who are actually managing the dojo itself. So
okay.
as scholars are coming in, they're assigning roles. They're making sure they pick out the best scholars because we want to make sure as
People
scholars are coming
play.
in through the door, we're identifying those really good players and making sure they stick around in our guild, because we don't want them. We
Waste.
basically don't want to start a guild of just token farmers. We want to make sure we're
Yeah,
recognizing good players too, right?
for
And
sure.
building that community vibe, so they really feel like they belong there. And so we do these channeling events with them. I live stream them. Another valuable experience actually with the scholars has been portal openings. So we'll open a portal with them, and we'll talk to them about the traits and the BRS. We'll compare gotchis side by side and talk about the mechanics and stuff. We're basically training these players right now so they can be superstars once the actual LAN gameplay comes out. And we'll have like our SEAL Team 6 of players that are going to be like the best gamers. And we'll be able to help those guys start an esports team or whatever once the arena rolls out. Because remember, these
Oh, do
battle
you see?
mechanics.
That's interesting. So, do you
Yeah.
see this as being an esports opportunity? I never even
Oh,
thought of that actually.
yeah, 100%. I mean,
Wow.
Aavegotchi is gonna have a huge battle arena, where you'll be able to fight other gotchis with these like
How
wearables
do you
and
have
stuff.
any insights of how that's going to work? Like, what's the
Um,
mechanics?
yeah, I mean, fairly general in terms of what I know about it, but there is gonna be a arena within the Citadel, and your wearables are gonna be playing a big part of that, because certain wearables are gonna actually be used as weapons,
Yes, I
specific
saw that. I
collectibles,
saw that.
right?
You have a document actually. You can pull up anything you want to pull up as well. But yeah, I saw you. Is it you, right? You had a document breaking it down.
Yeah, there was a document. Unfortunately, well, maybe I might be able to get it up
No,
here.
it's okay. No problem. If okay. So certain items are going to be weapons to use in a arena, and I did hear something about like you're going to be able to like win the what's inside of the Aavegotchi or something like
I
that.
heard
Like,
that. Yeah. So I think the spirit, and they've hinted at this many times. So I'm wondering if this is going to be implemented. Probably. But beyond, your Aavegotchi requires a minimum level of spirit force, right?
yep, yep.
But anything on top of that is all good. You can load up your Aavegotchi just like you can a piggy bank. And so I wonder if you win this fight, you'll be able to wager a certain amount of your tokens. That would be really
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm guessing, right? Because I mean, again, we which is beautiful about this game is we get to help decide this. So,
Yeah.
like, that's another thing that I find super interesting about this game, the how transparent it is, being built with us, and like you said, those weekly meetings. That's super interesting. Basically, this project is being built in public with our help as investors, and we've invested in the game through Ghost, through NFTs, and now we're helping decide what happens with this, and that's pretty cool. So okay, now you're managing. You said about 600 Aavegotchis, and how much land?
So currently, well, we're not managing all 600 yet, but we're at the point where we're almost maxed out on the guild gotchis. So the guild gotchis, there's roughly almost 300 of them.
When you
Those
say
ones are
guild gotcha,
being
you mean people that will use your like
uh
people?
yeah, yeah, so like their assets, like their gotchis that they own.
Okay,
Those are being fully utilized right now by our dojo guild.
got it.
Now we're looking at maybe trying to see if we can help our guildies out, the Keck Lords and Alpha Nobles, and now looking at helping them utilize their assets as well.
Got it.
Um,
So one of the major things I wanted to, have you, because I had a video this morning where I showed how I manage my measly 15 parcels and three Aavegotchis. I would really love to understand more how you're doing. You said you have people that are working. So what is managing a guild like for you? What is it like entail per day?
yeah, I think for me, the biggest focus is the community building aspect.
Okay.
And so I try to instill the culture of the guild, what we're all about, get the actual scholars feeling out what the game is about, and
Okay.
then creating resources and materials, especially educational materials for a guild. That's mainly what I try to focus on. is in terms of like managing the
So it's
guild
like
per se.
community management in a way, right? It's less
Yeah.
about the day to day of the assets. It's more about growing the community, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a joint effort. I can't really say I'm leading in all aspects, because I feel like the managers who are actually managing the scholars right now are doing just a crazy job of utilizing the assets.
Okay.
um and that's not my strong suit, but I like to focus on the community building. Like when the player comes to the guild, I want to meet the players and figure out who our best players are, so we can make sure that they're being recognized and that
Got it.
we're providing the right opportunities for them to move forward.
That makes
um
sense. It makes sense
yeah.
because your best people players, you want to make sure you know them, you have a good relationship with them, especially as you said, like this could head into an esports type of thing, and you want to have make sure your best players are known and you are
Hmm.
connecting with them. That makes a lot of sense. That's one of the weaknesses I see in what I'm doing. I'm not connecting with anyone. I'm just letting people borrow. I don't even know. I sometimes get to see, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that person got a lot of Alchemica, but there's
Yeah.
no way for me to contact them. So that's interesting. Like that makes a lot of sense. But again, I guess I think about creating a guild, and I'm like, how do I compete with the big with even 8-bit, right? You guys got a lot of assets. Why would
Hmm.
someone join mine versus and I know you can join multiple, that's another cool thing, but realistically, how many are you going to want to be a part of? That's going to be the interesting part as this game grows. So how do you see that? How do you see, like,
Yeah.
just participating
Hmm.
in guilds?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because these players can go to any guild and find the most competitive Alchemica rate and just do that.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is they're not doing that. Actually, they're okay. Some of them are okay earning a little bit less. And I'm not saying 8 bits is unreasonable. We're pretty much on par. I think we do a 70-30 split with the
Yeah, I
player
see that. I see that a
for the
lot.
most
Yeah,
part. Yeah.
that's what most of these people are doing. Most of these sites, even Gotchi
Hmm.
Vault does that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're pretty good that way, and the players stick around. They don't shop around because they enjoy the culture and the community aspect. I think that's where guilds are really going to differentiate themselves in this game, is building that community vibe and that certain culture around whatever it may be that you feel is unique, with the experience that you bring. If it's a educational experience around entrepreneurship, maybe the guild is based on that, and maybe there's an
That's
educational
interesting.
component, or
That's
maybe
interesting because
maybe
that's what I
you're
want to do. Basically,
yeah.
I want to make it around DeFi. Like
Okay.
my goal is to take this game and help people get to financial freedom through a game. That would be amazing. But of course, there's layers to that, right? There's definitely decentralized
Yeah.
finance, but that's why I really like this because it's so connected to that. And that's a lot of what I create the content around. So yeah, I've been thinking that through, but it'd be interesting. So how right now, 8-bit guild, the community is based on what interest? Right now, if people come in, what are you guys bringing them in for? Like, how does that work now?
Yeah, so I think the main thing we're based on around it right now is actually literally gaming. Like we're focused on the
People that like
gamer,
gaming.
and providing experiences for the gamer. I think
Got
that's our biggest focus right now. And bringing the scholars in through the door first, they look at the financial incentive to come into our guild. That's what gets them through the door. But what makes them stay is the experiences we can provide, whether it's the portal scanner tool. We have a traits analyzer tool, the educational workshops we can do with them.
Oh, so
Um,
you basically have tools that only they can see. You have to be in there in your guild to have
yeah,
access to this stuff. Got
that's
it.
right.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a bunch of tools that you guys use. Got it. So I'm paying. I bought an NFT. I'll show you right here. So this was it was like it's by Wagme Warriors, which is a guild. So they built it, but then they sold. I think this was like 5 die, and then
Five
you have
die, yeah.
access. Yeah, you have access to this, which this is helpful. I've been using this ever since I saw it. Um, so you guys have your own versions of stuff like this that people get access to that helps them make more money playing the game, basically.
That's right. And I mean, this is what it's all about. And I think the Wagme Warriors, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like they might be doing something similar with their scholars. And, it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to know what sort of benefits they're providing to their guild. But this is seems to be the way it's working is you attract the player through the door with the financial incentive, and then you teach them how to play. Then you can indoctrinate them with the Gotchi gospel per se, right? You can teach
So
them.
people are just coming without really knowing about the game. They just want to make money, and then you teach them. Because I
Yeah,
thought it was the opposite. I actually thought people were coming wanting to play the game and looking for places to play. So you're finding groups of people that just want to play games, and then you're
yeah.
connecting them to Aavegotchi. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't really think that.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
that's
it's interesting. Some of the scholars, when we were talking to them the other night, like very new scholars to Aavegotchi, they got attracted to it because they've played these sorts of games and they wanted to see what it's about because they play a lot of crypto farming games. They thought Aavegotchi is just another one of these games. And
mm,
then we take them down the rabbit hole and they had no idea about the portal and the traits and all this stuff. And you can actually see their interest actually grow significantly after that kind of lesson.
that's interesting. Then that's really
Yeah,
interesting. That's really interesting. That's good to hear. So now makes a little bit more sense. So they're coming into community basically. They could be playing
yeah,
any game, but they want to find some type of community that they can grow in. So they come into whatever guild they choose. You guys nurture that relationship through education, through
yeah.
access, through tools. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And what else? What else do you
And
see?
then the other thing, yeah, and then the other thing I'll say, is with the dojos, we're trying to make them local specific. So we'll have like a Filipino, like a PH dojo, and
Okay.
then we'll have like the Spanish speaking dojo, and try and have these communities link up with each other, whether it's locally or not, because they're going to build their own little community, as an extension of 8-bit. You'll have the Filipino community of gamers that are also attached to 8-bit. Then you'll have the
Okay.
Spanish community of players that are attached to 8-bit. And like that, we can create multiple little training dojos where the community actually feels connected with each other because there's similar cultures, similar backgrounds. They speak a language they're all comfortable with, and we can just help facilitate that. So eventually, they're actually going to be helping each other too. The OG, we call them lieutenants. The top
Hmm.
scholars, they're going to be teaching the new scholars when they come in and showing them the way and
So
passing on that mentorship.
that's really interesting. So this is a business. You said it's a business. The business model is there's people that buy in, they get top level access to and anything else, the NFT that's valuable. What else? Do they get anything? Because then what's gonna really power this business is these um what do you call it? Scholars, right? Like people
Yeah,
that are gonna play the game, earn the alchemica, share in the revenue. So what's the business model, the true business model of a guild, right? Like, is it just a volume play where you just want to get as much people generating revenue through your assets so you make more money having those assets? Like that's what I see. But is there anything I'm
yeah.
missing?
I think there's a few like legs to the model. So I think one of the legs you described is the actual scholarships, and that's what's gonna, utilize the assets and create revenue. But that revenue, will be used to get reinvested back into the game or to create experiences. And with the Keck Lords, going back to that, because the price of the membership was, considered to be a little high, despite the value, you're going to get the value. But
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people didn't go for the 200 Ghost membership, but the ones that were the hardcore Aavegotchi players, the core community members, they jumped on that membership, And so what happened is those 40 members that we got are very core, like hardcore Aavegotchi members, and they're probably going to be quite involved with building out the guild as well. So they're at the top tier, not only in terms of like where they entered into the guild, but also the value they're probably going to provide moving forward as we build out. There's going to be opportunities for them to get more involved.
So they get, is it like a DAO-ish kind of thing where they get some decision making power? Do
Exactly.
they share in any revenue as well? How does it work?
There's no revenue share right now, but I mean, there is a door open for that as well, and that
Okay.
was actually written into one of the benefits of being a Keck Lord is you're going to be entitled to these things.
That makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, but
They're
like
basically early
obviously not,
investors.
yeah, like we're still building a lot of it out, and it's going to be in development. So, there's a trust aspect of it when you're buying into it, but then also, um, you know, I was involved. I guess maybe that might be part of it because I was involved as a community member. There's a trust aspect of it there too,
Sure.
of being there. Yeah, and then with the Alpha Nobles, similar thing, just not as a big of a reward to that degree. The Keck Lords are the top tier. Then we have the Alpha Nobles, and then the FOMO Scholars. There is an opportunity for them to climb up in within their ranks of scholar. Like I
Based
said, the
on
lieutenant.
performance of
Yeah,
Alchemica. Got it.
exactly.
Got
And
it.
so this is all being built out. It's still being somewhat developed, but I can see the vision coming together now, and it's quite exciting, to see it all. I think you were asking me how many lands we have.
Yeah, yeah. How many lands you guys manage?
Yeah, okay. So I think they have roughly 40 spacious parcels, and in total they have about 120. I could be wrong on this because they're not all on the same address,
Got
but I
it.
believe it's about 120 parcels. We're based at
Wow.
11 and 12. So,
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. So I guess the idea is, of course, when the farming is set up to generate as much revenue through the playing to grow the farming, so you make as much money as possible, right? That's what I'm doing. So I'm guessing
mhm,
that's the
yeah.
plan, right?
We have two different types of players right now within the scholars, within the ranks. And these ranks will continue to get differentiated as we have more things rolled out in the Gotchiverse. But right now we have our channelers and we
Hmm.
have our collectors. So the collectors are going around, they're collecting alchemica, loose alchemica that falls everywhere.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they
exactly.
do.
From us channeling. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, like play drop collectors, right? And then we have our channelers who are higher performing players who've proven themselves or have been around for long enough that we give them these roles as a channeler. They join us together when we do our channeling ceremonies.
Oh,
And
because you get
basically,
more, right? If more people are
yeah,
around, you get more. Okay,
exactly.
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
if a crew of 10 of us go out into the Gotchiverse at 7 p.m., we'll make sure we get all the collectors online as well and be like, send a ping out to everybody. Be like, hey, look, collectors, we're about to do a huge channeling with 10 people simultaneously. Come hang out in the Gotchiverse. And then they can come in and they can start collecting Alchemica while we're all channeling, because we're the ones controlling the play drop then.
Got it. You have so many pieces of land in that one, those two districts. If you channel, it's just like it's like making it
Yeah.
rain, right? All right, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's really interesting. So timed out channeling throughout the whole of your land creates a revenue opportunity for a lot of people, basically. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it
they've been
makes sense.
upgrading their altars and stuff too to bring that, as you upgrade your altar, you bring in that yield a little closer to the land parcels. And so
So
we've been
that's
doing
the
that.
part I'm trying to understand, because does more money go into your wallet automatically as well? Because I'm upgrading too.
Yeah.
I literally never see any alchemical when I channel. I never
No,
see
neither do I.
it. So,
I've
but I'm
never
like
seen another one drop.
I'm on level 3. My highest on level 3 right now. I'm going to a level 4 right now on 3 of them, but I don't see it, right? Because I mean, even on the spacious, I don't see it. So it has to be a lot of land, but you guys have 40 spacious. So yeah, that's enough to see it, I guess. And does the percentage that goes into your wallet grow as well every time
I
you
think
upgrade?
so. So that's your spillover, right? So your spillover goes down every time you upgrade your altar. I think it starts at 50%. So when you have a
Yes,
level
yes, yes.
one, 50%, and then I think it goes down by 5% every time. I think that's
Yeah,
if
okay.
I
I'm
got
I'm
that
trying to
right.
pull up the Bible to see if I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. All right. So Yeah, okay, so let me zoom this up. Oops. So as you see here, this is how the channeling works. This is based on the actual the Gotchi's kinship, and then yeah, this is what you mean, the spillover rate. So spillover rate is the lower percent, meaning more goes straight into your wallet, right? That's
Yeah,
how I'm reading that.
exactly.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay,
right.
that makes sense. So right now, like I said, I have one's getting to the 4 right now. I'm also, what are you doing about glitter? Like, what's your plan with
Ooh,
glitter?
yeah. Glitter, yeah, that's an interesting conversation. Like, I think glitter is, I think time is the most valuable resource, right? We
Yeah,
all know
100%,
that.
100%,
Time
100%.
is the most valuable resource, and if you play games like Clash of Clans or I don't know if Minecraft has this, but I know Clash of Clans has this where you can speed up your structures to build them, just get it over with so they're usable.
Yep.
You have to buy like gems or something in these games, and you pay money for that. Like that's how these games
Make
generate
their money. Yeah,
revenue.
most of it is people's lack of patience. You speed up, right? That's how these games make money, the mobile games at least.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it. But with us, we're spending money all over the place with this. But I'm also like, how are you generating glitter though? What's your
Okay.
guys' plan?
Yeah. So I mean, the way we're doing it right now is a significant chunk of it is staked in WAP Ghost. So like the stable one, the single staking
Uh-huh.
that
WAP
earns,
goes.
it earns 5%. But if you put a large amount of capital in there, I
Yeah, it's a
think
lot.
I think
Yeah.
they put 25,000. I don't know if it's $25,000 or 25,000 Ghost that's in
Wow,
there.
wow, wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean
I
they
think
have
they have
so
some
many
of the other
lands
ones
though.
too.
They're
Mhm.
gonna need a lot of glitter and
Yeah,
alchemic, a lot.
a lot. And I mean, for me, on a personal level, like, the guild does something different from what I do. I
Mhm.
actually went for the Ghost Alpha pool because it seemed like the
Did you?
least people were in there. And
Did
then
you?
so
What do you
yeah.
see that right here? This is what you mean, least people? How
Yeah,
do you
so
know?
it seemed to me like you would get a bigger share of that pool, right? Because the weighting is based on how many people are in the pool. So if there's less people in the pool, your 15% is going to be a larger amount of glitter that gets paid out.
But this has 189,000. This has 160. So wouldn't Keck be better?
Yeah, so I think Keck would actually be better now looking at it now, but when I entered the pool it was different. I think
Okay, okay,
the
okay.
alpha was lower. But I think now if you went into the Keck pool, you would actually get a slightly better return on that.
So on this wallet here, I'm doing glitter and ghost. I mean, why I did this one is because I've done liquidity providing before, and you end up with coin changing. So like you put in, so if you're not familiar with liquidity providing, you put in the same value of both coins. So like
Mhm.
let's say it's $100 each. You need
Yeah.
$100 worth of glitter, $100 worth of ghost. But when you take it out, depending on what's being traded more, you come away with one more than the other. So you can end up with a lot more glitter or a lot more ghost. So what I thought was I rather do the ones that I don't mind, whichever comes back more of. So glitter and keck are the ones I do. I have a
Yeah.
wallet where I'm getting a lot of here. I didn't put like 25,000 worth, but I'm getting a good amount of glitter every day from this one in another wallet. Actually, let me see if I pull up the wallet. Yeah, because that was my thinking. I definitely wanted to understand how you see it, but yeah, so you see it similar. I didn't even look at
Very
this.
similar. Yeah.
So this one, let's see. No, this is not the one.
And then also remember 10% of the total supply, right? So if the glitter token's capped at 1 trillion, and that's for the next 30 years. So they've made
Is
sure
it?
that, yeah, they made sure that for the next 30 years, at least there's glitter token available. It's just a matter of who's going to own it and how much, right? That's the
So that's why
distribution.
I'm also like, let me do this now, right? Because these things go up
That's
in
right.
value a lot, right?
That's right. I mean, time is the most valuable resource, and it might not matter when you get from 1 to 4, like level 1 to 4. People might have the patience for that, but like we'll see. Are people going to have the patience to wait 1 to 2 months for their thing to finish
Yeah. So
building?
so one thing I just saw, like to go to level 5 or 4, whatever, 3 to 4, it's like 9 days. So
Yeah.
that's like a while, right? And I was like, okay, I could see why you would spend glitter there. But I said, look, I'm going to say, look, this is all I think I got for free, pretty much $16 worth of glitter in like a day, I think, or two, maybe it's 2 days. I don't know. But again, I don't pull it from everywhere yet because you can't really transfer. It's not a coin yet on
Yeah.
MetaMask with glitter. So what I was thinking is this might go up in value a lot. So let me get as many of them now, and once the harvesters and the things that actually make money come into play, I'll figure out how I want to use them. Like I'm not gonna use
That's
them at all right now.
that's when there's going to be an opportunity cost, and people are going to do calculations. I know people like Dr. Wagney for sure are going to be looking at their calculator and punching in the numbers to see, is it cheaper to wait the 9 days, or is it cheaper just to spend the glitter right now and get 9 days worth of that better yield?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
this is why this is such a big brain game strategy. Like it's pretty intense the amount of strategy you have to think through, which is why I really like it. It's not like this game is not about looking like the realistic PlayStation game. It's
Yeah.
about your working your mind. And what I really like about it is it's kind of practice at being an entrepreneur and an investor, bringing it back to the show idea. This is like brings everything together because then what you do with the money that you bring in is a whole nother thing because you could take it as profit or you could reinvest it back into the business, right? So for me, right now, I'm making a good amount per day, but I'm reinvesting it. I'm not like cashing it out, which that could be a mistake too, right? Because these prices could be high right now and then they could go down. And right now I'm making, let's say, about $60 a day. But let's say in 6 months, that could be $20 a day. And if I didn't cash it out, I never really made that $60.
Yeah.
How do you view that? You got two sides. You got the guild and then your personal collection. What do you
Mm.
see there?
Well, I think for the guild, because it's player focused, I think the assets in the game and upgrading the assets will always be prioritized, because that's
That
going to
makes
help
sense.
the players, and then the players will help the guild, and it becomes
Uh-huh.
this circle that feeds off itself. As the players get more ability to earn, they're able to actually earn more for the guild, and then we can reinvest back in to upgrade and continue this cycle, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
And so that's the guild approach. Personally, for me, I think taking profits, no matter what your no matter what your conviction is in something, is not a bad idea.
Mhm.
Is not a bad idea. But right now, for me, I'm focused mainly on rolling everything back into the game and get to a point where I'm comfortably making a yield that I'm okay with, and then maybe taking a percentage of that and maybe putting it back into Ghost, because I like the tokenomics of Ghost, how it's
I mean,
stable, but it has that little bit of an upside as well. So, it's
well,
not a bad
you just
idea to
made
have
me
that.
think. You just made me think about something too, because I've been thinking that like take something as cash and keep it as cash. So I gotta really think that through because part of me is like, again, like I've seen it too much, right? The prices go up, they come
Mhm.
down, and you're like, damn, I wish I sold more when it
Yeah.
was. But the hard part of this is so early that it's hard to see. Like the charts, they're not big enough to really know is it up a lot or not. It's really tough to see right now. They don't have like the history enough to know. And the
Yeah.
game, the real part of the game is not out. So like right now, if you look historically, it is on the way down for alpha, right? But this is like
Yeah.
32 cents to 27 cents. It's not like huge
Yeah.
dip. Yeah. So it's really hard to see. I think the biggest one that I've seen is Keck. Keck has a big, wow, look at that. In the start, it was
Yeah. It was
145
up
and
there. Yeah, I think it almost surpassed Ghost, like on the first day or two there, when it was the price pumped.
but
Um,
in general, tokenomics wise, this does make sense to be the most valuable because there's the least amount of coins, right?
yeah.
And these are also not going to grow, right? Or is it like ghosts where they'll grow over time?
So no, actually, all the alchemicas are also capped.
They're
They all
capped.
have their own. Yeah, they're all capped on supply, but they made sure that there's enough allocated for the next 30 years. Based on their models, like they're
Sure.
running. I think they're running some pretty sophisticated computer models, probably, to figure
Yeah,
all this
for
out.
sure. Yeah, I would
You know,
think so.
So yeah, so I think that for me is the play. I think these tokens are gonna become more scarce, more valuable as the game goes on. But I also believe in the ghost token. I believe in the power of it. I
I
like
do
the
too.
qualities of the bonding curve. It's something that it saved me again, just like it saved you.
Yeah.
And also another thing I'll say is in terms of saving, your capital, the land, the gotchis, and the wearables have held up really well in this bear market.
Yeah, actually,
Overall.
when I bought in the auction, so I bought land higher than the prices now.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean now it's coming up, and I do see once the real true value is seen of how you make money on this game, this should go up a lot. I really believe
yeah,
that. Also, when I think about other projects versus this one, the amount you're spending, the return on investment is more likely with something like this, right? 129 Ghost is, let's look, I think it's like $200 or something like that, maybe less.
yeah,
So for you to make your money back, it's not, wow, that was pretty
yeah.
good.
Look at that. Yeah,
Um, um, it's not that tough versus buying something like other land or whatever on Board Apes. You spend like $15,000. Like, how are you gonna get your money back? I really don't see
yeah.
how that
I
happens.
feel like it's in the way that they're valued. When you have a speculative value on something, there's no roof on it. You
That's
know,
true too. People just
And so
believe
people
that this
will
is more
keep
valuable.
driving it
Yeah.
up because nobody knows how far it should go. With these assets with Aavegotchi, I feel like investors are looking at it differently. They want to see metrics. They want to see, and I think Dr. Wagme actually might have stated this on your show when he was here, is they want to see the numbers. They want to see how much is this parcel producing when the harvesters are all running, and they'll value the land based on that because that's the easiest metric to value it in.
And that's why this game is different. This game is
Yeah,
literally about investing and thinking about it like an entrepreneur. That's
yeah,
why I'm really loving the idea of creating content, meeting people like you, because this, if you practice this, you could take this into real estate, you could take this into startups, you could take, right, the idea of understanding how to do this well. Of course, there's many variables here. Not everything has all these variables, but to play around with all these variables in one place is pretty, I've never seen anything like it. There's people who are like, yeah, practice trading on the stock market, practice trading on crypto markets. But this is like everything together, everything, right? Like literally all types of investing, all types of entrepreneurship in one. Of
I
course, the one thing I would say is the graphics. I
yeah.
could see it being a hindrance to getting like massive, massive adoption because it is more like the old school gaming, the 8-bit gaming versus now. I feel like a lot of the players want the cool graphic thing. So that's one of the risks I see in it. But again, I don't think this game is targeting those type of people anyway. But again, that's the only real risk I see. Like one is it's
Mhm.
maybe too intellectual for a mass audience, right? Like people that just want a kind of like escape, right? There's people who game just to escape. This is not that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll come up with stuff for that. But this is like a real thinking kind of thing.
Yeah.
and I'm interested in that though.
From a gaming perspective, I'll just elaborate on that. These games that come out that are super cool, really fun to play, visually stimulating, they're up against time, because the next flashy thing will come out, and that's
That's
what
true.
people are gonna jump on. I find these games, this is very similar to kind of like a Minecraft thing where it's like it was very slow to adopt, take
Mm-hmm.
maybe multiple years to adopt,
Yeah.
but it's still been around 20 years later now. People are still playing Minecraft.
Yep.
And for all ages, we have people who are older playing Minecraft, we have people who are very young playing
Yep.
Minecraft. And then we have people building worlds inside of the Minecraft world. So it's
Yep.
become this huge land slash metaverse ecosystem,
Yep.
and I'm hoping that's what the direction Aavegotchi goes. Even if there are like some graphic improvements over time, which is possible,
Do
I
you
think
ever
the
see it
main
going into a 3D space?
yeah,
You do?
yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean, with everything being on chain, I feel like you can just iterate on top of it. Like you
That's true.
create a Gotchi versus V2.
Just
You have all the assets and everything on chain to just reference, right? I mean,
have all
these
the data. Just put to a different engine. Yeah. No, I definitely can see how it can be done. I just don't know if it's in the, the strategy of it, because at the end of the day, does it really change the true gameplay of it if it's 3D? I don't think so, right? So is it
Yeah.
better off doing that or not? It might not be. So
Yeah.
those are decisions that got to be made, because that's a lot of engineering time.
Right.
Is that therefore? I don't think so. If I put my product management hat
Yeah.
on, I think it makes sense to spend that time on.
No.
I think it's going to bring players, right?
And then ultimately, we want to go to phone, right? We want to create a killer
Exactly.
DApp that anybody can load up on their phone, and they won't even know they're interacting with a crypto game. They just know they run around and they collect these tokens, right?
What do
That's
you
how
think? When do you
teamwork.
think that happens? What is your like realistic
Like,
timeline for that? Multiple years, probably, right? Because even the
yeah.
Decentralands of the world that have been around for a while still don't have that.
Oh, I think I think we'll get there way before they do because we are so lightweight and we can actually
Mm,
run this on a phone in a browser, nonetheless, right? It runs in a
true.
browser. So, to get it on a phone just means you have to develop an app and make sure the bugs are worked out and whatnot. But I feel like Decentraland and like Bored Ape Yacht Club, they already don't have the interface for that. Like it's gonna be
Mm,
really hard to play. It goes back to what you're saying, right? Something stimulating, something immersive. It's really hard to create that experience and replicate it on a phone.
yeah.
Whereas with us, it
Yep.
wasn't about that in the
That's
first
not the
place. So to go
gameplay.
over to a
Yeah.
phone is a low barrier, right? It's a low hanging fruit.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes. Again,
Hmm.
of course, having you on as often as possible. Right now, I guess if there's anything for anyone watching that you've seen that helps you manage your own portfolio, not even the guilds, any tips, right? For me, for anybody that's watching, whenever they watch in this current version of the game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as advice goes, uh, I'd say the easiest place to start is first of all the wiki, the Aavegotchi wiki. I don't know if you can actually get to it off the Aavegotchi site right now,
Oh,
because they're updating the UI. But here it's actually maintained by a community member
is it
who
this
makes
one?
sure this is all up to date.
Is it any of
Here,
these? Oh yeah,
no, I'll
look.
put it. I'll put the link up for you here.
Okay, okay,
So I threw the link up there in the private chat.
okay, got it.
So like if you're new to Aavegotchi, check out the wiki. It
Okay, yeah,
talks
I have
about
seen.
Ghost, tokenomics, Spirit Force, like the basics, right? Second of all, I'd say follow like the community members. No Futuristic has a channel. He covers a lot of Aavegotchi content. We have Roxiano, who's another Aavegotchi member,
I'm gonna
and
try
then
to
we got
have all of them
myself.
on the show. All of them are gonna be on here. But yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. There's people creating good content around how to think through this. That's how I got involved. I was watching stuff like you put out. I was watching No Futuristic, Roxiano, even the Gotchi brothers, I think they get called. The
yeah,
one that,
Gotchi
yeah,
brothers.
yeah. I want to be on their show too. This is the thing. It's what I'm saying. Like this game is barely out, and there's all this like community time being put into how everybody's excited about this. So it's like building in a way that's pretty interesting this early to me. I've seen stuff be built, but I haven't seen this much this fast in my opinion.
Yeah,
Hey friends, great chat, very informative. Thank you. Got you gang.
Gotchi gang.
Uh, so yeah, I guess any final words, any how can people find you? What's the best way if
Yeah.
people want to reach out?
Yeah, so I started a Substack called the Aavegotchi Archive,
You want to
and
link
that's
me?
where I've
Link me.
been.
I'll put it in the chat.
I'll hit you with the link. This is where I do all the summaries of the Gotchi Gang hangouts, and I'll basically do article, do a write up. There's an email list there, so if you subscribe to the Aavegotchi Archive, you'll actually get an email every week after the hangout with a little summary of what happened. So if you missed it, within 2 or 3 minutes you can catch up and know what we're talking about. So yeah, there's the subscribe. You can add your email in there. And then I also upload the Gotchi Space podcasts. I'm working on it, slowly getting them up there, but
Oh, so
eventually they'll
you
all be up
make the
there.
DAO? Is that the DAO or the meetups?
The Hangouts, yeah, the Saturday
Yeah.
Hangouts,
Okay.
yeah. And then check out my YouTube channel, Aavegotchi Pacific Chapter. I'll also link
Aavegotchi
that too.
Pacific chat. All right. So yeah, link me to it so it's quicker.
And then that's
Um,
where I do all the live streams. So the Hangouts I live stream there. The DAO discussions that we have on Sunday are live streamed there as well. I'll link that up. So definitely check those things out. I try to provide as many resources as I can to Gotchi Gang.
all right. There you go. All right. I just
Perfect.
subscribed. All
Loved.
right. And then this one is the YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube channel, Aavegotchi Pacific Chapter.
I'm gonna put that up next.
That's where we do our live streams, and we did one with 8-Bit Gamers Guild the other night. Did a portal opening, and that was fun.
Subscribed already. Yes. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the type of game you will lose yourself into. It's very, very dense with opportunity and strategy again. Fair warning. But but I think it's an opportunity, man. Like I said, it's already generating revenue that's higher than I thought it would as fast as this is going. Again, how sustainable that is very variable, right? Like it's
Yeah.
an economy. We have to grow it together as a community. Again, this is just a start. I think we're like in week 2 of actually being able to generate revenue every day, right? That's where we are. So this game has a 30-year timeline. I wonder what's gonna happen after 30 years. All right, what do you say? Super happy to have you part of the fam. Nice to meet
Mm.
you. Yeah, videos, interviews are great. Thank you. Hefe is a legend, of course.
I appreciate it. That's
Thanks,
goobs.
Rob. Thanks, our goob. Sorry, Rob. So yeah, man, definitely thanks for coming on the show. I don't like to make these too long because rarely people watch the whole thing, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do think this is different. Like I said, it's different types of people that are into this and are thinking this through. More trying to understand the best way to make this a business for themselves. So if you did watch this all the way through, thank you. Like and subscribe to the video, or subscribe to Aavegotchi Pacific chapter as well, and subscribe to everything in the chat, and definitely join the Gotchi gang. We want you as part of the community, and we hope to make money with you. Any final words from you, Hefe?
Yeah, I mean, man, I love what you're doing here. You're taking the business entrepreneurial take on this, and it's at the perfect time as we're rolling out in the Gotchiverse and actually creating these models of creating some Alchemica income. And so it's really interesting to hear your take. I like how you've been poking around the community, learning more, and the things that you're doing. It's going to be interesting to see how you develop your journey as well.
Yes, I plan to make
Yeah,
as much of it on YouTube as possible.
perfect.
So definitely looking forward to continuing connecting with you, Hefe, and let's keep it going. Let's keep the Gotchi gang, Gotchi verse going. On that note, thanks for
Yeah,
watching and have a good rest of your night.
yeah. Later, friends.